You're very welcome to episode 3 of Jacked Up Politics. My name is Jack. I'm a second year government and political science student at UCC. Unfortunately, today Tom won't be with us, so you'll have me by myself for this episode. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing why populist politics always fails. And there's many trains of thought behind why populist politics always fails, and a lot of those reasons stem from the fact that a politician will promise something on the run up to an election or a run up to a by-election, for instance, and they won't deliver on said promise. Now, there is many trains of thought why they're not able to fulfill on those promises. Maybe it's once they get into government they realise how expensive it is running a country, and the soundbite that they thought sounded good wasn't actually able to be fulfilled. And a good example of a soundbite being used and then not actually being fulfilled is here in Ireland. It was when Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Greens all got into power in 2020, they promised that they'd build up to 10,000 homes a year for social housing, and they've fallen short of that number quite significantly. This was an election promise that they weren't able to fulfill on, and it was a populist soundbite that they gave to the public. However, they were not able to live up to. And as we've seen with the resignation of Leo Varadkar and the election of Simon Harris as the new leader of Fine Gael, it's another soundbite that was done just recently enough with that was the fact that Simon Harris was promising to make Fine Gael the party of law and order once again. Now, being honest, folks, I can't really see that happening for two reasons. One, Simon Harris doesn't have an awful lot of political capital to use at the moment, and I believe he is going to fall short. I also believe that he thinks he has until around next January to call an election. Folks, I'd be very, very surprised if the election wasn't called around July, August. It's just an inkling I have, folks, but I would be putting my money on that an election is going to happen a lot soon, and another general election is going to happen a lot sooner rather than later. An interesting tidbit also about populist politics is it appeals to people who feel marginalised, who feel ostracised, who feel like they're not being listened to. And if you get a politician, folks, that's promising you the world, that they're going to give you X, Y, and Z, you're going to take them at their word. You're not going to really look too much into their background. You're kind of going to go, right, if he gets elected, he's going to give me this or that, or she's going to give me this and that or the other. But what quite a lot of people don't seem to realise is the fact that populist politics is just that. It's just populism to get someone in, and there's actually often than not there's actually no real material or substance behind the claims that these politicians are making. Like Labour themselves have come out recently enough for their general election manifesto or local election manifesto for Dublin, and they were saying that they would put 6 to 8 new ambulances on the road and it would cost X amount of money. Well, folks, let me tell you, I crunched the numbers on that and Labour had gotten it sorely wrong. Okay, Labour were well off the mark with their costings, and it was not. They would not be able to do what they were promising for the X amount that they were promising to do, which is an example of why populist politics never actually bloody works. Someone who is actually a genius at using populist politics and is quite the master of it would be Donald Trump in the States. Former President Trump is quite intelligent at using populist rhetoric to make himself appeal to a broad section of the voter base in the US. Now, while it might not be mine and yours cup of tea or type of politics, to the conservative, Donald Trump is the next best thing after sliced pan. You know, he's very, very popular with his populism, with populist rhetoric, my apologies, and he's very good at doing speeches in which he uses populism to up the ante, per se. And the thing about Trump is Trump, he's a very good public speaker. He's confident and he bodes well with the Republican demographic that he targets. And like him or loathe him, Trump is a master at controlling the stage when he's up there. The thing about Trump is Trump knows what he wants. He wants to get back into office for his second term. He wants to beat Joe Biden, and he wants to become, he wants to be the president again. Now, whether or not he gets in, and whether or not he actually becomes president, again, that's a completely separate issue. But in terms of populism, Trump is the gold standard, in my opinion, of populist politics. Another interesting thing about Trump is the fact that he's very good at getting his message across to his supporters, right? As many of you know, he's going through a lot of legal troubles in the States at the moment, and he's been quite good at drumming up the support for that cause, saying that he's being ostracised, he's been prosecuted based on his based on his political beliefs, and that it is the toxic woke left that are causing him to be harassed by the judiciary. Trump is very good at also targeting the subsection in America that would not be the most well educated and would not be the most well versed in policy. And he gives them a voice, right? And everyone deserves a voice. I'm not saying they don't. But what Trump is very, very good at, folks, is he's very good at giving the less educated people a voice, right? Now, I know there are some academics and there are some people who have attended third level college or third level education absolutely adore him in the States. And I'm not saying that all of Trump supporters aren't very well educated, because there's a good section of them are, but he does appeal very well to the people who feel that they have been marginalised because of their educational qualifications, and that's perfectly understandable as well, because it takes a multitude of people to make up a demographic, folks. Let me tell you that much for nothing. Another interesting tidbit about populist politics as well is in the UK. And a good example I like to use, folks, is the 2010 UK general election. The Labour Party had bottled the confidence of the publics very badly going into that election. And it was certain that Labour would need support of either the Tories or the Lib Dems to win that election. The Tories kind of came out with a lot of populist rhetoric to undermine the Labour government at the time, and they did it very successfully. Another case in point was in 2016, again with the Tories, when they were stating that we're sending £350 million a week to Europe. That money will go better will be better served going into the NHS every week. But the thing was that was actually a lie, and it's since been proven that it was a lie and that the Tories lied through their teeth about it. And that's the thing about populist politics as well, is a lot of the stuff that is used in populist politics isn't always necessarily the most accurate or fact-laden or evidence-based approach. The thing about populist politics, it sounds very good as a soundbite, but in practicality, it's a lot harder to implement and it's a lot harder to achieve. A fact about populist politics as well that a lot of people don't realise is the fact that if you target a marginalised demographic or you target a marginalised group of populist politics, you are going to have some degree of success with that group, because if you're making them feel heard, you're making them feel represented, they are going to give you that vote. And a big thing that where Sinn Féin, Labour, and all the parties now here have failed is they have failed to adequately address immigration concerns amongst the general public. Now, folks, I'm by no means a far-right supporter. I am no means a right-wing supporter, but by no stretch of the imagination am I completely left-wing, or am I completely far-left either. I would classify myself as left of centre when it comes to politics. But even though I have a left-leaning view myself, I do believe that immigration is a major concern for me, not just as a student and not just as an Irish citizen, but as a person. And I think there needs to be a lot more done around immigration, because the current immigration system in Ireland is failing. It is not working, and it's causing a lot of tension amongst different groups across the country. And I can see a lot of people's viewpoints that, we have a lot of these people coming in, they're unchecked, they're unvetted, and I can relate to that. To disregard those concerns would not be doing ourselves any justice, okay? Everyone is entitled to have an opinion, no matter how far-fetched we might think it is. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. And it's what democracy is all about, is understanding opinions and trying to come and work on a common ground, right? While people might not agree with the far right's opinions on immigration, they do have a point. The immigration system here in Ireland has failed, right? When you have thousands upon thousands of asylum seekers and economic migrants that are coming in, they're being given tents to put up on the streets of Dublin because there's no accommodation for them. That's when you have to realise, folks, the system has failed them. Now, why this comes back to populist politics is a lot of the far-right parties are campaigning on an anti-immigration platform that they're stating, if we get into power, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You're not going to have any more problems with these immigrants coming in. However, I can tell you for a fact, folks, if they did get in, what they would do would be a lot less practical than what they're actually suggesting, right? They'll say they'll do one thing, but as with most populist politics, they'll fall short. And they'll do the bare minimum to fulfill their promises, but it'll be just that. It'll be the bare minimum. Because, folks, every government, be it right wing, left wing, or in the middle, will do exactly that. They'll do the bare bones. They'll do the bare minimum. And another interesting fact that we have to take into consideration as well when we're discussing populist politics is the fact that populism is a major political viewpoint. Like, populist politics makes up quite a lot of foundations for quite a lot of political parties. For instance, Sinn Féin here, they're a very popular left-wing populist party, and Fianna Fáil will be a very popular centre-right populist party here in Ireland. The thing about Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin is they both tend to flip-flop when it comes to policy. They'll come out with one statement and then do completely the opposite. And with immigration, it was exactly that with Sinn Féin, and with public housing, that was Fianna Fáil's thing, was public housing. They both said, we're going to come out and do something, and then they completely reversed track and went away and did completely the opposite. So, when you have these two competing, when you have these two parties, you can kind of compare and contrast what populist politics both have done over the years and why they've failed, right? Because of Sinn Féin's flippy-flappy nature when it comes to policy and not having a defined, solid policy on a certain topic, that is why they have lost so much support. I still reckon they're going to do well in the next general election. There's no one out there. However, what the problem there is the fact that they are going to have to compromise on some of their populist rhetoric if they do want to form a government. And this isn't too far off, that they're getting too wishy-washy with how they're going around policy, and they're not coming out and being direct with it. And that is causing them a lot of problems. If they want to form a government, they are going to have to take stances on certain topics. However, if they do, will they turn around and reverse them 6 months later, which is a case of what they've been doing a lot of lately. Now, folks, I don't want to seem like I'm being overly harsh on Sinn Féin. I'm just using Sinn Féin as an example. I still have many friends who are in Sinn Féin. I still have many friends who are in Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, across the board. However, it is my personal express opinion, and this is my personal opinion, that you will probably see a Fianna Fáil Sinn Féin-led government in the next sitting at it all. Because, folks, they appeal to the most, they appeal to the broadest voter base. Now, you might be saying to me, Jack, but doesn't that show populist politics works? And you're right. It does to an extent. However, when you dive deeper into it and when you kind of peel away the layers like an onion, you'll get to find out that, in fact, their populist politics was just a thing to get them into government, that they have no real intention of actually being as progressive as they stated, because I like to say that Sinn Féin are actually left-wing conservative. And that's the reason why Sinn Féin and Fianna Fáil will probably end up getting into power with each other, is because they'll have some left-wing conservative tendencies that Fianna Fáil will have, and they'll be able to merge. And that's why they'll probably get into government with each other. And, folks, it's not too far-fetched to believe that that the whole situation could actually end up being a very, very interesting one. Because we've never seen this level of disenchantment with the government, or unhappiness with the government. But in terms of how their government are doing, I would actually say quite a lot of their populist rhetoric on policies has actually failed them, and has led to a lot of the issues that the government are currently having, because they weren't willing to take a stance. They weren't willing to kind of go, right, enough is enough. That has caused them a lot of problems. And I think what we could see in the next 5 to 10 years, or 10 to 15 years even, is a more shift away from more centre-right politics to a more centrist approach, where parties are taking a more centrist approach in terms of social policy, fiscal policy, immigration policy, healthcare policy, and they'll be pulling it from both sides of the aisle. They'll be pulling it from the right-wing side, they'll be pulling it from the left-wing side, because they'll realise that this populist rhetoric that failed Sinn Féin, that failed Fianna Fáil, that failed Fine Gael, that failed Labour, that failed the Green Party, that has also not worked out so much in the Stop Dem's favour as well, and need I add, there is no party worse on the left-wing side of the arena in Ireland for populist politics than People Before Profit. They're the worst at populist politics. They'll come out with a soundbite and be like, oh yeah, we want to do this, right? Now, folks, you do have to have that antagonistic party on both sides of the arena to kind of moderate the other views that are there, right? Because if you don't have that bit of moderation there, you kind of lose the less radicalized approach, in my opinion. So, folks, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. From now on, folks, we'll be moving to a weekly release schedule. So instead of it being fortnightly, we are now moving to a weekly episode release, and we'll be releasing episodes every Thursday evening. So instead of being every second Thursday, it'll now be every Thursday that we'll be releasing episodes. And also, folks, going forward, we will be doing news videos on YouTube. These videos will be coming out on Wednesdays, and they'll be produced by myself and Andrew, and they'll be out usually in and around, we're going to probably said we'll probably be releasing around midday every Thursday. And so far, folks, we just want to say we're very, very grateful for all the support you've given us so far. We look forward to your continued support going forward. If I could ask you to do one favour for us, folks, it would be that you follow all our social media channels that you can find on our Spotify or on our Spotify page. You'll find our LinkedIn on there. You'll find our Instagram. You'll find our YouTube. If you could subscribe, follow us, like, and leave a comment on what you thought of the podcast, it would all go very much towards us being able to build out the brand.
To whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so put your word with me. I get it, the odds seem stacked back against the wall, but even consider it such, know you'll stand tall. Sat and watch from the sidelines one too many times. Wicked games to play, make me wanna lose my mind. Found solitude, knowing it'll be over soon. Ever need a boost, count on me for the 1-2. Trouble don't last when the tough get going. Baby, all we do is win, so show me my opponent. Adversity, doubt, stress, could care less, cause how we handle those like an S on our chest. Super proud of how we held it down on the way up. Can't wait for our day to ball, this is a layup. Nobody ever said this would be easy, but trust when I say that you got to believe. You've been looking for a breakthrough, trying our best to make do. Every day is something new, but change gon' come, oh yes it's true. Brighter days are straight ahead. Follow me, won't be misled. Just look up, don't hang your head, and we'll get to the promised land. Somebody loves you, please don't forget such. Take your time, no need to feel rushed. We gon' shine somehow one day. Word to O'Shea, today's been a good day. Don't let one bad apple spoil the tree. The fruits of our labor seem ripe, can't you see? A little insight so they'll never dim your light. Been wrong for too long, this here feels so right.